Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Bolt Crew podcast. Dave Pele, Josh Pele, Mario Heron talking Charger football. Again, we're closer and closer as things are opening up. You're seeing even like the Chicago Bears where rookies reported to camp and they aren't going home until their season's over. So, I mean, this is it. One team goes in, all of a sudden you're getting all 32 teams. They're actively moving forward, trying to win the Super Bowl. And that's what we're talking about all the time, right? That is the goal, to win the Super Bowl, to fill that trophy case, and hopefully one day get a parade for the Los Angeles Chargers. So as far as the way things work, we're looking forward to this season for so many different reasons, as we've discussed a million times. Mario, I don't know where Josh just went. He'll be back. As we discussed a bunch of times, Mario, is the fact that we have the coach, we have Jim Harbaugh, and we have the quarterback, and we have Justin Herbert. There's so many teams that plan on going into the season. And if you're a fan of one of these teams where you don't have either one, you don't have the quarterback or the coach, or a situation where you're stuck. And I'll tell you what, I think there are teams in our division, and I'll point the finger right at the Raiders right now. So one of those teams with a huge fan base and have a history of 3 Super Bowl championships, but they don't have that franchise quarterback. And in my opinion, they really don't have the coach. And nothing against Antonio Pierce, but he hasn't proven anything except he was able to motivate guys after the disaster of a coach they had last year, right? Josh McDaniel was a mess. And so when they were able to bring anybody in with a new message, you're seeing a little bit better of an effort. We'll see if it's able to last. But in my experience as a fan of football, is there are guys who are motivators and there are guys who are these genius technicians. And for, different guys like Herm Edwards was always a motivator guy. When we watched the Chiefs on Hard Knocks with Herm Edwards, he was just a motivator guy. He couldn't be the guy that made the big decisions to help you win a game. Not an Andy Reid, who basically the game's in slow motion as a head coach. He's seen it all, and we see this all the time of guys who are the so-called geniuses. Sean McVay has figured this out finally. Kyle Shanahan maybe hasn't figured it out. But for the Chargers, they have the combination of quarterback, coach, and then they have to fill everything else in. We like as the Chargers, where they're at right now, that you have basically good roots, right? It's hard to argue with that.
You're talking about good roots as in good coaching?
Yeah, well, if you didn't just jump off the show and you would have heard me. We got coaching and we got quarterback combination.
I got nervous. I didn't know what to do. Okay. Honestly, I didn't hear the beginning, but to have a great coach, I think you guys would all agree. Dave is a coach, right? Dave coaches high school baseball. I think half of it is being knowledgeable and being a great X's and O's guy. And then the other half is relationships. Would you agree with that? That's what makes a great head coach.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. And it's different in every sport. But yes, you can't have one without the other. To win a championship, you need to have both.
I think the guy that does it the best in the NFL, and I think you guys would agree with this, is Andy Reid, a very lovable guy whose offense is the best in the league. I mean, for sure, the best offense in the league. You obviously can plug and play anybody with Mahomes, but to have a coach like Andy Reid that is so good at spacing the field and players love him. I mean, right now, I think he's definitely the best coach in the NFL. I think Jim Harbaugh is very close. I don't think he's the best coach in the NFL yet, but he could get to that level if he wins with the Chargers and Justin Herbert. We always say we have the coach with the quarterback, a guy that players love like Jim Harbaugh that will run through a wall, and he's a former quarterback that knows the X's and O's. I like what we have, Mario.
I really like what we have, and I agree with your take right there too, that a lot of being a head coach and being a successful head coach is relationships, and it's how do you find the right ways to make all your players tick, because what makes Justin Herbert tick might not make Derwin James tick, right? Like there's different guys need different things in order to get the best out of them, and you got to be a certain type of coach and be a certain type of leader to make sure you get all the best things out of those guys. Andy Reid's by far in advance. There's no argument that he is the best coach in the NFL. Back-to-back Super Bowl championships. Chiefs have just absolutely dominated this league. And, if you want to have a discussion of is it Reid or Mahomes more, you can if you want, but the truth of the matter, Mahomes wouldn't be Mahomes without Reid, and that's just a fact. And Harbaugh can be it. I don't know, like right now, I would not say he's like a top 5 coach in the NFL. I just wouldn't say that just because the time off he's had from being in the NFL. I still think there's gonna be a little bit of a learning curve coming around, just because in college football you have, one of those weeks where you play Ball State or, the Brothers of the Blind, and they're like barely a Division I school, and you like wipe the field with them, and like this obviously a huge coaching and talent advantage to your side. In the NFL, that's not that. It's hard to win every single week, and just because you play the Patriots doesn't mean it's an easy win. It's going to be a hard win no matter what, because you got guys out there that are really trying to do some damage to you.
So the coaching thing is interesting because you guys kind of both said the same thing where you need to get the most out of your guys. And I haven't been to any Jim Harbaugh meetings. All right. I haven't talked to Jim Harbaugh since he got hired. But I will say this. Anyone who knows what's going on with the Chargers right now will say, hey, that whole front office, including your head coach, is trying to figure out who's here for the long run, meaning that you're here for that Super Bowl run that we talk about, that window of opportunity, right? So whether it's Joey Bosa or it's a guy they just drafted, are you one of us? Do we read the room the right way when we decided to keep you on the roster for 2024? And, it's a 17-game season. Yet we've said this before on the show, and you guys have all seen it. You guys have noticed that at the same time, there are days where it looks like you didn't get the guy's best effort. You go, what the hell? Because as a fan, you're sitting in your chair and, you're ready to go like you are every single Sunday. And you're all fired up about your team. And you're like, what kind of effort is this? This looked like they kind of mailed it in. What happened? Are they beat up? Are they tired? Or they just don't feel like playing to the best of their ability? Always amazes me. And Josh played football at a high level, as we say all the time. But guys that you'll see, there's a level of speed in the preseason, there's a level of speed in game one, and there's a whole nother level in the postseason, right? And you see it in hockey too all the time, where it's like, man, if they play like this every game, this hockey team would have the best record. But in football, you see it. And as a fan, I know it's very frustrating. I think the connection, as you guys said, Harbaugh not only has coached in the NFL and has dominated, meaning winning percentage wise, but as a quarterback, to know what it's like. I always say as I get older and, as you guys are younger than me, that, you're still learning every day. I'm still learning every day to something I didn't understand that I understand. I try and look at things from a 360 view. From Jim Harbaugh playing on the field at a high position as a quarterback in this league, to being a coach at the college level, pro level, growing up in a coach's house with his dad, he sees things from a 360 view. He knows what you're going through. The ability to relate is big. And I know I'm going along on this one, but I'm going to share a quick story in baseball on Bruce Bochy. And Josh was here for this meeting. It's kind of funny as a witness that I'm not BSing this story. But I always talk to players in all sports about, what separates them. Why are guys who we see on Sunday there and we're here watching them? How did they get to there? Because we all played with a football in the backyard. We all wanted to be that guy. Is it just straight athletic ability? Is it mindset? All that stuff. And so I've talked to numerous coaches on how they do things, but I used to ask guys all the time, what is it about Bruce Bochy that separates him from other managers? Why is he able to win these World Series and everything else? And they would say, what he did is that it's a 162 game season, 6 weeks of spring training. He checked in with me every single day. He got the best from all of us because he checks in with every player on the roster every day, whether it's saying, how are you feeling today? How are your kids? How's your mom? How are things at home? He goes, the fact that he checked in went a long way. And I mentioned to him, not this December, the December before. Josh, do you remember this conversation?
100%.
Okay. And he was just named manager of the Rangers, Mario. And so I said to him, Bruce, I go, what I found out about you, and Bruce didn't tell me this, was his players told me this. He goes, that's why he's my favorite guy. That's why I always gave my best, because I knew he cared about me as a person. And so I said to him, I started doing that even at the high school level. And I go, man, my team started winning a lot. And just the fact that you show you care at some point doesn't mean you have to be a softie, but the fact that they aren't just players that put a uniform on. And Bochy turned to me and said, you know what? I got away from that my last few years in San Francisco. 3 World Series in 5 years. And he goes, I got away from doing that. There's so many other distractions. I stopped doing that. And he goes, I'm going to bring that back with Texas. And guess what? He won the World Series his first year back with Texas. And he texted me right after they won the World Series and said, dude, I went right back to what I said I was going to do. And look at these guys. I mean, they couldn't lose a road game. They came out of nowhere and went right through the playoffs. But it's little things is my point on this whole thing. And this is where I think Harbaugh is big for this Charger organization, that Harbaugh is a guy that connects with the players because he sees everything from a 360 view. Does that make sense?
100% it makes sense. And if you're going to talk about a position that would be the best for coaching for football, you'd say quarterback, right, Mario? And baseball, catchers, right? The guys that are kind of like the quarterbacks in baseball that see the whole field. They're the ones that they're coaches. Point guards, right? Like Jason Kidd, guys that will coach in the NBA. Jim Harbaugh, not only does he know what players, see on the field, he knows which buttons to push. I think that's one of the biggest, positives of Jim Harbaugh. People talk about, we talk about on this show, is he able to move from the college game to the NFL with the play style that he wants, right? Run the ball, Obviously, they have Greg Roman now. They're going to have a bunch of different run schemes. The issue with Nick Saban, and this is true. I read the Nick Saban book, and players on the Dolphins did not like the way that he talked to them, right? Nick Saban's record is not as bad with the Miami Dolphins as people make it out to be.
500.
But it's 500. But he rubbed a lot of the players the wrong way on the team. He treated them like college players, and you cannot do that when you have grown men in the NFL. Does that concern you at all, Mario, that a guy like Jim Harbaugh is moving from Michigan to the Chargers? Obviously, he's with the 49ers and has coached the NFL already, but does that concern you at all that he has to treat players differently?
So I believe in this day and age, college players have never been more professional ever, right? Like they're getting paid now, let's call it what it is. The transfer portal isn't a transfer portal. It's free agency. That's what it is. You go to the highest bidder. You go to what's paying you the most money now. So I think at a time like today, college and professionals has never been more even in terms of that. And I think the way you coach a player does have to change, right? Like maybe you can't be as hard as on a college guy. You can't really sit them because if you sit them or if you're really hard on them, they're just out of there. Like the process of waiting for your turn, so to speak, or to go through the grueling process, becoming a starting quarterback or running back or whatever position may be, is not really like there anymore. It's just when can I see the field sooner at and which can give me the most money. It does worry me though, in these first couple of weeks, Dave, like, are we going to see a little bit of Harbaugh catch it up to the game? A little bit. Like, are we going to see that? It wouldn't surprise me if we do. I don't think it's going to last a full season. I think by, the time mid-season, it's not even going to look like he coached in college. He's going to be perfectly fine. But I would be lying to you if I don't have the thoughts of the Matt Rule just disaster that came and went that we saw in Carolina. To a certain extent, Urban Meyer, obviously that's a completely different story. Urban Meyer's coaching was insane. But that little change from college to professional does still scare me a little bit, even though I think right now college and professionals are the most similar it's ever been.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Jim because he came from Stanford and he had no problems with the 49ers, right? I think if anything, he's probably a better coach now than he was before. He knows the mistakes. He's had time to reflect on what happened with the 49ers if things fell short, what happened with the front office when there was obviously a clash. I think what you're seeing from Charger football, and look, it might not be the most exciting product on the field. Like, I say all the time, I love watching the Miami Dolphins play because they're exciting to watch, but it hasn't equaled a Super Bowl championship. I don't know if the Dolphins ever win a Super Bowl championship, but they're exciting to watch. When I look at this Charger team, what I'm expecting, guys, is low-scoring games. I mean, I'm talking like 16-point games, and they're going to cut down on the turnovers. The whole thing is to control everything just so we do not turn the ball over. That is, to me, the plan. We're going to win a lot of close games, and I'm all in favor of just winning the games. We might be the most boring team, and who knows, maybe they won't be, but until they prove otherwise, they don't seem to have a lot of offensive weapons like the shiny, new toys. But I think this is all about controlling what you can control, and I think what they're trying to control is lack of turnovers and winning the close games at the end, because we all know, just like Jim knows, they got a fantastic kicker.
I think the Chargers have the best kicker in the NFL, and I know Justin Tucker is fantastic. I put Cameron Dicker up against anyone. How many wins, either one of you, how many wins would you say Jim Harbaugh or any coach in the NFL is responsible for? And before you answer, real quick, Brandon Staley had to lose the Chargers in the time he was there at least 6-7 games, at least, right? I mean, the guy was the worst at running the clock, at least. When the going got tough, he went going. He was horrible. I mean, he's one of the worst coaches in NFL history, honestly. How many wins do you think Jim Harbaugh will be responsible for in this next season?
Mara, go ahead.
Because our talent is not all the way there, like it's just not. And we're gonna have to lean on that, his expertise. I think 6, if I had to guess.
That many games for this next season?
Give a percentage, Mara. Give a percentage because I don't know the total wins. Let's say let's say they 70%. I'll even go higher, Josh. Like, I literally look at this, that Jim Harbaugh is trying to hold their hand to the finish line. Like, this is all about Harbaugh-type football. This is all about, this is the way we're going to do things, and we're taking baby steps, but they're baby steps in the right direction, not baby steps in the wrong direction. Like, there's something to learn and get better every single week that I honestly believe more. I think Jim Harbaugh is trying to hold their hand to victory.
So, okay, let's say Brandon Staley remained with the team, right? And we all were in misery.
He had no respect.
How many wins do you think the Chargers would have this next season compared to Jim Harbaugh being there?
Okay, I'll go just
wow.
reverse. I'll go just like I think Harbaugh's going to be responsible for about 80% of their wins. I think Staley's responsible for 80% of their losses.
Yeah, I agree with
he
that.
He had no respect from day one when you show up in practice to get ready for that week. They're like, this effing guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how I feel. Yeah. Like, seriously, to get led by a guy that you know is a twerp loser, I'm sorry. That's what he was.
I think the Tennessee Titans, most boring team to watch, right, in the NFL under Mike Vrabel, they would be so much worse than they like. I mean, they weren't even bad, honestly. They were actually really good with Mike Vrabel. They would be so bad, I think, if they didn't have him as their head coach. I believe he was so responsible for the wins that they did have. The running offense, hold you on defense, 16 points, like Dave said. I think that really is going to be Charger football. I don't know who the hell we're going to guard with our cornerbacks, but if we're scoring 16 points and we're winning, Mario, then I'm happy. But I really think Mike Vrabel football is coming to the Chargers. Like, that is what their MO is going to be.
Yeah. Did you really put me in a spin cycle thinking about if we still had Staley, how many losses we would get? I literally think if we still had Staley, I literally think we'd go back-to-back top 10 picks in the draft.
100%.
I think that. And if I had to put it in perspective, guys, I think if we still had Staley and if we still had Tommy Boy with us, I honestly do believe, I was thinking about this today, I think they would have traded for Brandon Aiyuk.
You don't think they will now?
I don't think they will now. No. I don't think they will now. Do you? I really don't.
And Keenan Allen. So it wouldn't make sense, right?
Yeah, I think they would have let them go, but I think they would have ended up trading for Brandon Aiyuk. I just don't think Harbaugh and Joe will do that. But
you think the Raiders would do that? I mean, he's over there with the Raiders now.
The Raiders have to do something with Davante Adams because if anyone watches that receiver show, it is very, very clearly that guy wanted so far away from Las Vegas. It is unbelievable. And then now that rumors are coming out that, Rodgers is doing his, garbage of can't wait to play with him again. And then there was a statement from his camp that he intends to be a Raider this year. Guys, I don't buy that whatsoever. That is such a load of crap. That's a bigger dump than the one I took this morning after I had my freaking pre-workout. Like, that is such a load of crap to me. He's not going to be a Raider this year. He's not going to be a Raider. That guy is so far gone, and he knows it. There's no reason for him to be Las Vegas anymore.
All right, first of all, Aiyuk, you keep hearing the one team that you just keep hearing, like, it's so loud. It's the Commanders, right? But at the same time, Harbaugh would love to take a guy from the Niners and a guy that would definitely help. Like, if you're Brandon Aiyuk, man, you understand the frustration level of going, dude, they are not in a hurry to help you out. I mean, figure it out. Your training camp starting. They've had forever to work on this, and they are not in a hurry. They're kind of, hey, if we don't talk about it and don't look in this direction, maybe they'll stop talking. Dude, it's louder than ever, right? Here's a team that's supposed to have all the talent in the world, yet now you have problems going into training camp. It's going to be an issue. The Davante Adams thing, I don't think he ends up with the Jets. Get him out of the division, but I don't think he ends up with the Jets. Number one, the Jets really don't need him. I mean, you have Mike Williams and you have Garrett Wilson. You have a tight end, catch the ball. You got Hall. You got a lot of offense on the Jets. Is that what the plan would be? I mean, what happens? Williams becomes the number 3. You guys tell me. I mean, it seems kind of strange, but Davante Adams, I understand it. By the way, this is a great show. If you aren't watching the show, I recommend anybody watch this receivers show. It's a great show. I didn't watch the quarterback one all the way through. The receivers one I can't wait to finish this thing up. But it's a really good show. And dude, hats off to Davante Adams, man. He doesn't cause problems during the game, but you can see he's saying my career is running out and I want to win a Super Bowl. I'm for anybody that wants to win a Super Bowl. That's the kind of player I want on my team.
Yeah, me and Mario have been waiting for you to issue an apology to us because you told us all last year that Jimmy Garoppolo was going to be fine with the Raiders, and now you watch this receiver show. Dude. Hold on, now you watch this receiver show, and it's like me and Mario are the smartest guys ever because we told you he was no good.
Couldn't agree with you guys.
Sucks.
More. Yeah, I looked at his winning percentage. 100%. I looked at the winning percentage. I cannot believe how bad Garoppolo is. I mean, dude, he underthrows everything. Like, he looks like he's not an NFL player. I'm sorry. My reads and timing of getting the ball out of my hand are better on Thanksgiving Day in the park near our house than his are. It's crazy to me how bad Garoppolo was. And now he's a backup with the Rams. He's Stafford's backup.
Dude, I mean, he is god awful. Like, the complaints the whole time. And, like, there's little things I forgot about last year that, like, you see again in the show of Davante runs a slant and then he, like, turns it into a seam route and he like to the left side, he's cooked, but to the right side, it is nothing but and Jimmy G just like throws it out of bounds. Now that guy's good looking and should probably just pivot to like work in some like freaking Amazon Prime show, some Netflix something. Start a dating show. That's what he should do. Pivot to that. Go to Bachelor. That dude would kill on The Bachelor. He's got no personality. He's just a good looking dude. That would work.
He doesn't even need The Bachelor. You see the girls he's hooking up with? Good Lord. He's fine.
Yeah.
he's fine. We don't need to worry about him. God dang, he's loaded and he's hooking up with everybody. Good for him. Now he's in
Boy,
LA.
can he not throw the football?
He cannot throw a football. You know, it's a shame. So here we go. I want to touch on this because, and I know we're going to get to some of the comments in just a second here, but I always like some of these rankings, and we have some things that came out. So Mario, where did you have Jim Harbaugh ranked as far as head coaches? Where do you rank him?
Oh God, I think when we did it that one time, I had him at like 7 or 8.
Okay, so you didn't have just now, and you said on the show either he wasn't top 5 until he proved.
No, he's not. He's not top 5. Yeah, he's not top 5 for me at all. No,
Josh, is he top 5 for you?
He's about 5, I'd say, for me.
Okay, so CBS Sports, they rank the NFL head coaches. Okay, and so number 1, they have Andy Reid, like us. They have Sean McVay number 2. Okay, Kyle Shanahan's number 3. John Harbaugh, obviously Jim's brother's number 4. Matt LaFleur is high, man, to me at 5.
Woo.
Mike Tomlin is 6, and Jim Harbaugh is number 7.
So, you put Matt LaFleur ahead of Mike Tomlin?
Dude, I'm with you. I'm with you guys on that. The LaFleur thing seems very strange to me, but hey, I'm just going to tell you some of the guys that he's ahead of. Okay, meaning Jim Harbaugh. He's ahead of Dan Campbell. He's ahead of Sean McDermott, who to me is way too high at number 9. Kevin Stefanski of the Rams, Mike McDaniels of
Browns.
I mean 7. What I say? I'm sorry. What did I say? I'm sorry. Sorry. Browns. Mike McDaniel of the Dolphins, and Kevin O'Connell's 12. Okay, actually, I want to. D'Amico Ryans is number 13. Zach Taylor, Bengals 14. Nick Sirianni, to me, way too high, is number 15. Okay.
What?
Yep.
Okay. Let's get into that. We got to get into that really quickly.
Okay, but I'm gonna give you one more. Okay, one more. I'm a huge fan of this guy. Okay, and you guys can yell at me all you want. And I don't think you will. Shane Steichen's number 19, and I think he's one of the best coaches of the NFL for the Colts.
Way too low. That guy's great.
I think he's great, and he was Herbert's. Remember, he was Herbert's guy his rookie year.
Yeah, he's awesome. I don't know how he's 19.
But I think Steichen, I don't know, people pay attention to the Colts, especially when they lost their quarterback at the beginning of the year. For what he did with Indianapolis last year was incredible. And look, when you watch Philadelphia fall on their face without him, you go, this guy's an outstanding coach. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. What's your gripe, Mario? What's your problem with the list?
No, I just we really crap on Nick and Philly. But Super Bowl appearance was a bullcrap penalty away from winning the Super Bowl. Yes, they fell apart later in the season, but that was pretty dramatized for how good they really did throughout the year. He has a pretty good win-loss record. He's done pretty good with the Eagles.
They had a good start last year, and then the wheels fell off.
Yeah, but to tell me that there's 14 other better head coaches than him in the NFL, to me is just insane.
You thought he's too far back.
Yeah, to put Sean McDermott in front of him when he has a Super Bowl appearance and Sean does not is pretty crazy to me. Same with Mike McDaniel. Same with Kevin Stefanski. I love Kevin O'Connell. I think he's put in a terrible situation in Minnesota. But to sit there and put all those guys above him, I think it's a little ludicrous. I think we got to show a little bit more respect to him.
Who do you think's the worst coach in the league, according to CBS?
I mean, is he a first-year head coach? Is it a first-year head coach?
No, and I don't think it's fair to, by the way, trash the first-year head coaches until they get a chance to fail.
I agree.
Like Dave Canales is number 24. He's the coach of the Panthers this year. But if you look at Baker Mayfield last year, he had the best year of his career because of Dave Canales. You know what I mean? It helped out a lot. He was in the right system. So to trash Canales at 24, Raheem Morris at 23, it's kind of not fair, right? So no, this is a guy that's been around a while.
Oh man, do you agree with before?
I agree. He's my guy too. He's my guy. I ripped him on the show all the time.
It's
Who's
who
the
I would
one
pick
guy I
too.
said should have? Who's the one guy I keep saying should have been fired in the offseason, and Belichick should have gone there? Do you remember?
Wait, you said Belichick should have gone there?
I said Belichick should have gone there and ran that division.
Oh.
Am I losing it?
Think.
Are you?
Where's the Super Bowl at this year?
Where's the Super Bowl this year? Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I thought that would be.
I don't know. He plays.
The coach of the Saints.
Yeah, Dennis Allen. Terrible.
Sucks.
Yeah. Dude, he always sucked. He sucked every time as a head coach.
Yeah,
and so he ends up he's a weaker version of what Norv Turner was.
Yeah, he's
not a head coach. He's a bad head coach.
I agree with that. 100% agree with that. I know we already did the list, but who's your top 3? Like, do you agree with what they have? I think their top 5 is pretty solid.
By the way, I'm a Brian Dable fan. I don't think he has anything to work with the Giants, but I'm a Dable fan. I think Josh Allen played great when he was with them. Obviously, he saw him win national championship at Alabama, but I think Dable's not a bad coach. My top 3 would be
the same that they have.
Yeah, same as what they have right now. Would be Andy Reid, McVay, Kyle Shanahan.
I agree. I think McVay makes the most out of the least. I think McVay is awesome. Unfortunately, he's in LA.
He's really survived, like he's like you said, like the Rams are now caught in this weird space where they went all in and they got one, but that was only built for one. That wasn't built for multiple, and now they've done a weird, we're not, rebuilding, but we're not still going all the way. And he's done a good job of keeping that team relevant still and dealt with a lot. And also, just when is he going to the booth? Because I feel like every game when he sees one more guy get hurt, he just looks up at the booth and just stares at it. That could be me.
Yeah.
He's
no kidding, right?
Here. Yeah.
Instead of spending 7 days a week in this office and on the field and getting headaches, I could be in the booth making more money than I could as a coach and stay home with that smoking hot wife. Yes, the whole deal. Yeah, 100%. It could be a lot easier for him. It's kind of nuts. Oh, I got to give you one because someone's asking me where's McCarthy ranked. Where do you think McCarthy's ranked? Because I know Mario hates him.
Terrible, man. Should be 21, 20.
He's where do you want to guess, Mario?
I'm gonna go just below midway.
17. Yeah, he's number 17.
Too high.
By the way, he's one ahead of Sean Payton at 18, the so-called genius. A year ago, I guarantee you Sean Payton was in the top 10.
Oh, I'm in the top 10.
Yeah. And so you look around, but it's and it's funny. Someone wrote last week, and I apologize for messing up the question. We were talking about different coaches, and Robert Saleh was the guy that got ripped. I agree. I don't think Saleh is a guy that keeps his job after this year either. Eberflus, by the way, is number 26. We rip him all the time too.
That makes sense because besides defense, that guy's lost.
And so, okay, I want to one other coach question for you guys is the Detroit Lions are relevant. For the first time in my lifetime, the Lions are a relevant team. If they went to the Super Bowl, nobody would be surprised. Is Dan Campbell, does he fall in the category of what you think is a strong head coach, or is he one of the motivator coaches we were talking about at the beginning?
He's a motivator, but it works, right? I mean, that's exactly what that team needs. I give a lot of credit to Dan Campbell because that's a losing culture. To turn around a team like that for the biggest losing franchise in NFL history, I think Dan Campbell's awesome. I'm a big fan of Dan Campbell. When he came in the league and he was talking about biting kneecaps and all this crazy crap, I was like, this guy's a psycho. But I love him. Too. I'm a big Dan Campbell fan.
I think he's one of the best leaders in the NFL. And I think that the interesting thing about him too is his honesty. I still rings in my head when they lost the NFC Championship. And he told his guys, it's only going to be harder. Everything's harder now. Us getting here will probably, this could not happen again. And, that's such an honest, thing to say. Because I think most coaches would, be like, no, we got to build off this. If we can, we were here once, we're going to be here multiple times. He was just, very honest. He's guys, this could have been our shot. And it's only going to get a hell lot harder from here. And I think that different approach is one that works really well with that team and that organization because I think it sets the tone of, hey, we're not the little Lions anymore that always suck. And here's Eminem do an 8 Mile. It's like, no, we're like the Lions are trying to be a franchise and trying to be something. So I think Dan Campbell is obviously a motivator, but he's one of the best leaders of men in the NFL.
I'm curious to know, does the rhetoric wear off? Right, we've seen it before with other coaches. I mean, even when Marty Schottenheimer was here, guys got tired of listening to Marty. And so it wasn't until they got older and Marty was gone that they're like, God dang, we should have never pushed Marty out the door. But a lot of players, a lot of vets were tired of Marty. At 22 years old, they thought he was great. At 27, like, dude, I'm a man. Talk to me like a man. It ran old. And so with Dan Campbell, I'm kind of curious to know, what point do guys say, dude, it's old? So I don't root against him. I'm just kind of curious. Can you keep going with that strategy?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Can you think of anybody in NFL history that was straightly a motivator? Like Antonio, let's think about it. How many coaches in the NFL are not X's and O's guys and they're strictly motivators? Antonio Pierce, Dan Campbell. I mean, these are guys that aren't X's and O's guys. They're there to motivate the team to play to the best of their ability.
You might have broken off when I said it, but when Herm Edwards, when he was on Hard Knocks with the Chiefs, I remember going, this guy's a phony. Going, God, it's not at all what I thought it was. Like he does. I don't think he feels like he knows much more than any of us know. I think he's just the guy who's in the big chair that's going to go through motivation. And I think it wears off. And I think that's why he struggled everywhere he went, whether it was the Jets, the Chiefs, Arizona State, and a great TV guy. But I think it wears off after a while. Honestly, for me as a football fan, the one guy I'd like to see them follow around for a year with a microphone and a camera, because if you followed Kyle Shanahan around, he might as well be speaking Japanese. I'm never going to pick it up. You know what I mean? He speaks the football language at such a high level. I'm never going to figure out what he's doing in those play calls, but his players understand it. I want to know what Mike Tomlin does. Honestly, God, he'd be my guy, because Mike Tomlin, I don't know, does he fall in the category of being a football genius? Is he a motivator? Because, man, the Steelers seem to make the postseason, never have a losing record every year. Like Mike Tomlin gets a ton out of those guys.
I'll jump in. He's a motivator from what I've heard. Players love that guy, and we all know that. Najee Harris, he was asked the question, what's the difference between Nick Saban and Mike Tomlin? And he goes, dude, they're very different, but they're very similar in the sense that they get the most out of their players. Like, he is the biggest players coach of all time. So that kind of answers your question of, can that last? I think Mike Tomlin is an example of a guy that's been around for a long time. That's a motivator. Somebody wrote DeMeco Ryans. I actually disagree. I don't think DeMeco Ryans is a motivator. He was a defensive coordinator for the 49ers, played linebacker in the NFL for a long time, big-time linebacker at Alabama. He's smart. I mean, he's a guy that will run the defense. I don't think Antonio Pierce, I mean, he played linebacker too. He's not running the Raiders defense. From my understanding, that's not what he does. He's more of a recruiting guy at Arizona State. Yeah. He's a motivator. He's more like Herm Edwards than anything.
He might have the toughest job here coming up too in all of the NFL. In terms of keeping guys happy. He's going to have to keep Max Crosby happy. He's going to keep Devontae Adams happy. And that's going to be hard to do with Gardner freaking Minshew at quarterback and, the other options, Aidan O'Connell. Good luck, brother. Tomlin, to me, I think I already mentioned leaders man with Campbell, but like you said, Josh, the players love him. Like, every player that plays for him, I mean, they absolutely love him. And Schefter always calls him the leader of men. And I think he's one of the best culture setters in the NFL. I think him and Belichick really excelled in that, where they really established a culture, and this is the culture of winning, and you either buy in or getting the hell out. And he got the best out of the guys. I mean, Antonio Brown, best he ever was in Pittsburgh. Le'Veon Bell, best ever was in Pittsburgh. Juju, best he ever was in Pittsburgh. His TikToks and all that terrible bull crap sucked everywhere else. Like, it's, Claypool had his best times over there. Like, every guy that goes in there, the best moments are there. And then after they get shipped out, woo, boy, are you like my poop after pre-workout.
There's a lot of poop in this show. Tomlin is something else. Dan Campbell is funny. Someone wrote on here, get him a polo, but Dan Campbell is a guy that's hard to challenge, right? Because he played in the league, kind of like what we said with Harbaugh. But the thing is, he didn't play the quarterback position, right? I don't know how much of an X's and O's guy Dan Campbell is, but he's the same kind of psycho that would fight any player on his team thinking he could take him, right? He's going to put a dip in. He's going to fight him. Then he's going to knock him out. And he's going to throw his dip on top of him, then fire another dip in. Dan Campbell's that guy. He's a whack job, right? He's the guy. When you think of road rage, you think of Dan Campbell. But right now, it's working. And we'll see what happens. I mean, can you imagine? This is where you always wonder, like, success is great when you're chasing the dream. But let's say you finish at the top. You're the number one team out of 32 teams who win the Super Bowl. Can Dan Campbell get the most out of those guys? Is it short term, or is it one where, hey, I'm all in? Because we see teams change all the time after you win a Super Bowl. I don't know. I can't believe the Lions are this relevant. And hats off. Again, we talk about teams you like to watch. I like watching the Detroit Lions play. They're a fun team to watch. Very interesting to see how it goes.
You have to be on one side of the fence. Like I said, you either have to be an X's and O's guy or you have to be a motivator. You can't be in the middle like Dennis Allen, right? You're neither. Come on, dude. You're neither. And you got freaking Brandon Staley, who's supposed to be this defensive guru. Like, he was neither. There's nobody that's running through a wall for Brandon Staley. He's picking up Joey Bosa's helmet after it gets spiked at his feet. Like, if you're the Chargers, upper management, and you see a coach that cannot motivate his team to even make a sandwich, let alone win a football game, and he doesn't bring any defensive prowess, which you brought him in for, how do you not fire him like immediately? You have to have one or the other. And I'm so happy the Chargers have Harbaugh. What do you think Harbaugh for the Ravens is? Is he a motivator? Seems like he gets the most out of his players. I mean, he never played, right?
No, he played college ball. I believe he played college ball at like Miami or something, like a small school. Miami, Ohio, not Miami University of Miami. I think Harbaugh's X and O's guy. The thing that's interesting about Harbaugh that I don't think people talk about a lot, he really bounces from coordinators and he's still continuing success. I think that's fascinating to me. Like, yeah, Greg Winkendale, whatever the hell his name is, for the longest time, lets him go, gets
no, it was Wink Martindale.
He had him there. Yeah.
You mixed his first name and his last name. Yeah.
Well,
that was awesome.
All right. And now he's in college football.
There was a famous, it's before your time, but anyone who's my age knows, there's a famous guy who used to host a game show. His name was Wink Martindale.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. Tic-Tac-Toe was the name of the show. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Let's bring that one back.
Have you ever had a coach that played mind games, Mario? Like, at any level?
All the time.
How do you feel about those guys? The coaches that would play mind games with you? Did you dig it, or were you like, you can't go for it?
I'm not smart, so I was just confused. I was like, dude, what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of these coaches do play mind games. They say Jim Harbaugh is one of the guys who will get inside of your head and freak you out. And his brother, too. I told the story a few months ago, but there's a receiver that was on the bubble to make the Ravens roster for the next season. And John Harbaugh called him in his office and said, if you want any chance of making this team, I need you to gain 40 pounds and I need you to be 250 when you show up. And he's like, all right. So he eats his ass off and lifts weights, and he comes in at 250 and he goes, Coach, I'm ready to play tight end. And he goes, what do you mean you're ready to play tight end? You play receiver. He goes, you told me to gain 40 pounds. He said, we'll see about that. He's so confused. He's like, I'm too fat to play receiver now. I can't play receiver. Freak the guy out. But I mean, how are you going to argue that? John Harbaugh is one of the best coaches in the NFL. I don't know. Dave, do you ever play mind games with people?
Ooh,
does that work?
I test guys all the time. I'm the king of voluntary practices. I'll schedule a voluntary practice. I go, hey man, it's been a tough week. I go, we have a voluntary practice on Friday. And if you don't show up, dude, you aren't playing in the next game.
I was about to say those were so traps, dude. Oh my god, those are traps.
Yeah, voluntary is never voluntary. If anyone is a parent out there, when a coach says that is you better get your ass to practice. Voluntary, I want to know how bad do you want it, and if you aren't going to show up, there's no way I'm playing you over a kid who showed up when it's supposed to be voluntary. There's no such thing as a voluntary practice.
I've
that's
had
about
so
it.
many stories with voluntary practices. It's unbelievable.
All right, I got to throw this at you. I know we're short on time. We're going to have a really long show. Josh has to catch a plane, but I did promise this, so one of the T's to pay off here. I did promise in the last one. DraftKings had an AI predict the next 10 Super Bowl matchups. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Next 10 Super Bowl matchups. I'm just going to fire through them. All right? So 2025, this year's Super Bowl would be supposed to be Chiefs and Rams. Okay? Next one, 2026, Bills, Packers. 2027, Ravens, Rams. 2028, Chiefs again, this time playing the Cowboys. 2029 Browns and Buccaneers. Now, again, it gets crazy we go this far because we don't know drafts or anything. 2030 Patriots, 49ers. 2031 Ravens, Packers. 2032 Chiefs and Seahawks. 2033 Dolphins and Rams. And 2034 Bills and Cowboys. There's no Chargers in there. And when you hear that list, do you sit there and go, what the hell, because you're a Charger fan, or do you hear that list and go, hey, I could see a lot of that playing out?
Who made that list? AI?
Yeah, I
made it.
did. Yeah.
Do you care at all? Do you
I don't care. I don't care unless it's the Chiefs and Rams this year. Then I'm gonna start crying. But it's
You care.
I don't really care, but I am always curious, right? Because you always wonder, does the computer know more than us? Again, we don't know drafts. I mean, you're talking about some guys in 2034 that are in 6th grade right now, right?
How would they know? These guys don't even
That's what I'm saying. You don't know.
Because your future's already determined for you.
That's what it is.
That is
Yeah.
what it is.
So I mean, honestly, you don't know. But it was shocking to me that even in AI, the Chargers weren't any of the teams.
Yeah, I mean, are they just going off of history because the Chargers have never won a Super Bowl? I mean, I don't know what to say about that.
I have no idea.
Like if a guy gives a guy on the Chargers a bad rating on Madden, I'm like, it's not like I can't sleep that night. You know what I mean? Like, what do they know?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not him, so it doesn't matter. But they got the Browns in 2029, and they've never been to a Super Bowl.
I mean,
By the way,
I think the
if
Buccaneers.
it's the Browns and Buccaneers in 2029, if we're watching the Browns play the Buccaneers, I'm going to be extremely disappointed. Going, God dang it, who cares about this one? You know what I mean? Those are two franchises I don't want to see in a Super Bowl.
I mean, if we go from this Chiefs dynasty to Green Bay right after that, I might retire from my career and go sell jet skis in Florida. That's the backup career, gentlemen. So
this,
jet ski rental.
On this Google Docs, by the way, I put that on, Mario. Don't erase it. Just put it at the very bottom. We got to see how accurate this damn thing is.
That'd be insane.
We got to see if it ever matches up. All right, let me throw one more to you. Okay, this is Pro Football Addict said that the next 10 Super Bowl winners. You ready?
Wait, Pro Football who?
No, this is Pro Football Addict. It's called. Okay, this is what I found.
Some 5th grader in his garage, but keep going.
I was about to say,
hey,
I was
hey,
expecting Pro Football Talk, Focus, and I heard Addict, and I go,
okay,
what 16-year-old took Adderall today?
Okay, hey, let's calm down. Because the Chargers might be in here, so just calm down. All right, hold on. You might go, this is great. I agree 100%. 2025 says the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. I don't think anyone goes, that sounds far-fetched. 2026, Bills, no way.
No shit.
2027, 49ers, wouldn't surprise you. 2028, Ravens. 2029, the Bengals win. And in 2030, the Los Angeles Chargers win the Super Bowl, according to this. Okay.
I've been saying since 2000, 2030 is our year. So it sounds about right.
You have said that.
I believe my first words was 2030 Chargers Super Bowl. That's really what I said.
2030 is our year. I'll wrap it up for you. 2031 has the Cowboys, 2032 Patriots, 2033, if Dan Campbell's still around, it's the Lions, and 2034 is the Dolphins. But again, at least we got the Chargers on one of those lists. You know?
Dude. What would you give up for a Charger Super Bowl? Would you cut off your pinky?
Okay, hold on a second. There's some crazy stuff when athletes say this stuff. Like, you've heard Noah Syndergaard. I mean, crazy stuff. Like, you know, let's calm down. I mean, as a guy, we all know the worst thing to cut off. Noah Syndergaard's willing to cut that off. Like, let's cut. Like, let's relax there. I'm not cutting off anything. Who am I kidding? I'm not on the team.
Kidney? You can survive with one.
That's true. You could survive with one.
I mean, the way that on the track I'm on right now, I'm not doing the best, so I'm gonna need both.
Mario might be given a kidney, not even mean to.
Yeah.
It basically equal anything except life.
Exactly.
I don't know. Just curious. Throw that in the question real quick. What would you cut off for the Chargers to win a Super Bowl?
What would you give up? I'd give up my nephew.
You give 80 of them.
I know. What's one out? Kidding. My sister's gonna hear this and go, "Now, which nephew are you talking about?" Shut up.
Yeah, Mike Vrabel did say that.
He did say that.
Mike Vrabel said it too. Yeah, Noah Syndergaard went
fired.
crazier than that. Yeah.
What did Noah Syndergaard say? I don't know what he said. I didn't catch that.
He cut off his piece.
Said, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the Frank and beans, he would cut that off. Yeah.
I would shave my eyebrows for a ship. Yeah.
Oh my God.
They grow back. Yeah, that's not that bad.
It'd
Yeah,
go back.
yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I'd Charlie Villanueva it. I'd shave everything.
go eyebrows too.
Yeah.
I'm Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, Josh just running around with a headband all the time because every time he sweats, he's blinding himself. So he has to wear a headband. Look like Bjorn Borg.
All right. While people put in their answers, Mario, can you highlight Fernando Ramirez's first question?
From Dave, what are you angry at today?
Yeah, what's pissed you off this week?
Yeah. Ooh, let's dive in. Therapy session.
Okay, it's funny you say this. All right, and I think the people I'm going to talk about aren't going to. They don't follow this goddamn show. I'm not going to mention any names, but I literally screenshotted the send it to Josh, and it bothered me when I saw it this morning too. Let me find it on my phone real quick.
The girl drunk singing the national anthem bothered you that much?
No, that was no. Yeah, I have nothing bad to say. So many people got so upset. It was like the one time.
Well, she made a joke about rehab. So that, I mean, like, why would you say that?
Oh, that was a joke?
No, the bottom part, she's like, I heard rehab's fun. It's like, why would you make a joke about rehab?
I thought you said she was joking about going to rehab. I was like, whoa.
She might be. I don't know. She lives down the street from me. She lives in Nashville.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Give her my number.
Saw her at the bar a couple times.
After rehab, of course. I don't want to disturb her while in rehab.
Dude, okay, if she was as tanked as she said she was, good for her for remembering that many words. I mean, so many people mess up.
She actually did great. Anyway. Yeah. You did really good.
She didn't exactly sing it. I mean, she kind of like talked the national anthem, but the fact that she got the words in order, pretty good. All right, so it was a Facebook post yesterday. I got irritated. I screenshot it, sent it to Josh, and it says on here, "Look at my beautiful friend." I'm gonna leave the name out. What are the odds of running into someone I know from our neighborhood at the San Diego airport? And I went, what the F? The odds are really good. You know what? You're from San Diego and you ran into a friend from San Diego in the San Diego airport. You don't run into that same person in Paris or Australia. World. Dude, it made me so damn mad that you'd even post it, let alone think in your mind, what are the odds? The odds are pretty goddamn good. You know, and you want to know what made me mad, Fernando? That made me extremely upset this week. It's so dumb. Let me tell you, Mario, because now I'm fired up. I'm gonna tell you about the dumbest argument I've ever had with my parents.
And every show like this, Mario.
I'm down for this.
What makes me mad? Dumbest argument I've ever had with my family. And where I'm going, how the hell am I related to you guys? Like, I don't know about you, but there are people I see every day where I'm like, how do I share a planet with that guy?
I agree.
I do that all the time. I did it today. It was like 2 cars on the road and the guy almost hit me. I'm like, dude, how do you almost hit me? It's a 5-lane road and there's only 2 of us and you almost swerve right into me. What the hell? So, and then everyone does this move. By the way, they're going to disagree with this, or they won't say it out loud, but they're going to agree with me. You ever drive up to the side of a car where you're like, the driving in this guy's terrible, but then you look through the window and you're like, of course, right? We always go do the of course move, right? Everybody does. Of course. That's it. All right. So DMV should actually hire me just to drive around town telling people who should not have a license. Dude, I'm living in Los Angeles, Mario. I'm in high school at the time, and my dad, who's living in Tennessee, comes to visit me, and we're standing literally in front of my dad's high school, and he runs into a guy he graduated high school with, and he's talking for about 20 minutes. I'm just standing there, and then he said goodbye, and he leaves, and my dad goes, "What a small world." I go, "What the hell are you talking about?" He goes, "Last time I saw Larry was 40 years ago," and I'm like, "Where did you see him, Dad?" "Right here at high school." I go, "Where are we right now?" "We're in front of your goddamn high school." I go, "How's that a small world?" Like, I don't think Larry goes outside the neighborhood very often. You just happen to come back. That's not a small world if that's where the last time you saw him and you saw him again. You don't run into him in goddamn Germany. And he goes, "You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're so stupid." And I'm like, "Dude, you're dumb." So we get in the car, and first thing my dad says to my mother, "You won't believe what your dumb kid just said." And I was like, "You won't believe what your stupid husband said." And then we're fighting again. And my mom takes my dad's side. I'm like, "Both are so stupid. I can't believe both of you are that damn dumb." And so I'm like, when people say it's a small world, figure out what the hell they're talking about when they say it's a small world. It's one of my least favorite things. It's a small world.
Hey, you know what else Dave hates, Mario?
What's up?
When people say do the math when there's no math involved.
Yeah. Number one, Mario, I suck at math. Yeah. You ever have someone tell you a story? They're like, "So anyway, man, I went to the grocery store. I forgot the cheese that goes with the nachos. So you do the math." You know what? No, dude, it's your stupid story. You effing do the math. I'm not doing any math. You do the math. Let me guess, you shook your ass back to the store and you don't want to do it? Don't tell me you do the math. Dude, I hate when people say do the math. Don't tell the story and finish it up with you do the math. God dang, it wears me out. The other way, while we're on it, dude, I cannot stand when people use the word take. Hey man, that guy was. What's your take on this?
We do it all the time.
What's your take on LeBron? I'm like, really? I go, hey, no offense to Jim Rome, man. I used to intern when Jim Rome started. Dude, this Jim Rome take thing kills me that everyone says take. You go back to 1975 in Catholic school and go to Sister Margaret. Hey, so what's tell me about World War II? Well, here's my take, Sister Margaret. Oh, what's your take? I mean, what's your opinion? We can't say the word opinion. Everyone has to say take.
Yeah.
Take my foot and put it right up your ass. I'm done with the word take, with the phrase take. What's your take?
What's your feeling on vibes? The word like vibes.
I don't care. That one doesn't fire me up as much.
Really?
It doesn't bother me. Here's the one my buddy always gets mad about. Everyone has one.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm curious what the audience thinks on what bothers them is when people say I could care less. And the phrase really is I couldn't care less. You can't it's not I could care less. People say it wrong all the time. It's I couldn't care less. If you could care less, what are you talking about?
Let's see it.
You got to get it right. Watch how many people mess it up. Now that I pointed out to everybody, watch how many people mess up that expression all the time.
Irregardless.
Care less. Yeah, irregardless drives me nuts.
That's too big of a word for me to even say.
Yeah,
that's
over exaggerated. God dang it! It's what strength.
You know what I really hate is when someone asks you to tell like a funny story, and you're like drinking a little bit, and so you're like, all right, in order to tell a funny story, I exaggerate a little bit, and nothing sends me more than you say like, and it was like this big crowd, and someone's like, there was only actually like 10 people in the crowd, and it's like, shut the hell up. It's like, shut up. You weren't in charge of telling the story. There's a reason why you're not. It's because you're that type of person. Go sit in the back. Like that sends me. It's like, shut up. There's a reason why you're not a part of this.
H said, do you hate when people call you bud? Does that bother you?
Can we have a discussion about this? Because I almost got in a fight one time over this in college one time. Okay, really? I never saw it as like demeaning.
Dude, if it's somebody that's older than you, they can call you bud. But if it's somebody that's our age, they can't call you bud. Like, you call me buddy, like that's my buddy. Hey, bud. Or it's just like, hey, B word. The other B word.
Dude, my
chief, boss. Don't call me any of those.
The guy at Chick-fil-A calls me boss, but he calls everybody boss. I hate it. What can I get you today, boss? I'm like, dude, I'm gonna punch you.
I used to call everyone chief.
And am I the only guy? Yeah, I did too. I did it too. Because Robert Parrish's nickname was the Chief. I always thought it was funny. Yeah, and then sometimes I do stuff to see if they get pissed, but I do the Chief thing. I do but the boss thing, champ. What's going on today, champ?
I never do champ. Champ's like, are we in a boxing gym? What the hell's going on? Or
all right,
my dog?
All right, I got one more for you because I know Josh has to get on this plane. All right, last one.
That's fun. This is fun. Go.
Do you guys? Am I the only one that has a panic attack if I'm on the phone as I drive through at Chick-fil-A and then worry that the guy on the other end is going to start cussing because there's no swearing on Chick-fil-A. You say clean. Like I panic the guy on the other end is going to drop F because all my friends are dropping F-bombs. I'm dropping F-bombs. Like I know in my head I better clean it up. And then I'm like, that guy right there is going to start cussing right back at me because that's the way they talk. But I don't want the guy in the drive-through hearing a bunch of F-bombs that will go right into the restaurant. Like I start to panic that, oh man, I got the mute button on my car, but man, I'm always freaked out that someone's going to start swearing through my radio.
I'll tell a quick story about the buddy thing. This happened to me where like I say a lot of the time. I still say it. I'm like if I'm telling a story and I've done this to you guys where I was like, and then buddy like got in his car and like drove away. Like I'll say that. And this kid was next to me. I can't remember. We like went to his bar, or whatever. And I went like that. I go, yeah. And buddy decided to like I don't even know. He got like the wrong drink or something. And he like looked at me and goes, did you just call me buddy? And I was like, yeah. And again, this type of situation, if you get hostile, I'm going to try to match hostile. So like he said, he goes, don't call me that. And then I said something terrible back. And, it went from there. But like, I always just thought that was crazy some people really hate bud or like buddy. I always thought that was crazy.
I'm looking at the comments on here making me laugh. Have you ever had anyone call you squirt?
I've never had squirt.
That's ridiculous.
That's weird.
Oh my God. I think all of us are too tall to be called squirt.
Yeah, that doesn't even make any sense for us.
Yeah.
That's like you like start fighting or somebody calls you squirt.
Yeah, Bub is better than Bud, by the way. If someone says, "What's up, Bub?" It's
on.
If you say hey Bub, I imagine you're 55 and lived in the middle of nowhere in the South. You know?
Dude, yeah, if you back in the day, you always hear adults would call kids sport. What's up, sport? What the hell's that all about?
I'm not a fan of that one.
Yeah.
When people say bruv.
Yeah, Buddy is different than Bud. The age wrote that Buddy is different than Bud. Like if someone says Buddy, I'm not angry.
Yeah, Junior Seau was known for calling everybody buddy. That was like his thing.
Yeah.
I would never like if I'm at somewhere, I'll never say like thanks, buddy. Like I'm always like, oh, thanks, man. If it's a man, I don't know. Oh, thanks, man. Like I don't really.
Yeah, that's funny. What a.
Do you guys still say yes, sir, and yes, ma'am?
It depends.
I live in Nashville. It's like very common down here.
I was about to say I still say it all the time, and someone called me out for it the other day, and I was like, manners.
Oh, here you go.
They got mad at you for saying yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. Why?
I have no idea, but they're like,
girls don't like ma'am. They think because they're aging them. Like,
yeah, they're like, why did you say ma'am? I'm like, because I was raised on manners.
Yeah,
and I, being respectful.
All right, this might come shocking to you, Mario. When a kid talks to me and asks me a question, I always respond with yes, sir, because I show them respect. I want respect back, but I don't do that in my everyday life. But I always say yes, sir, to them, show them that I'm looking at them as a human being. But they always look at me like they're shocked that I say yes. I go, hey, coach, is it okay if I, do this? And I go, yes, sir, you got it. I always drop it in there. I'm like Vern Lundquist dropping yes, sir, all over the place. By the way, and I got a million things, but Nick Saban, we kind of were texting this one. Nick Saban couldn't get into the SEC media day because he didn't have a media badge, which was hilarious to me. The guy who owns the SEC couldn't get in. And then what's his face? Kirby Smart's line today about talking to Nick Saban, who's now a member of the media, says, I don't like talking to him. It's like giving secrets away to Darth Vader. And Kirby Smart was DC. But yeah, he goes, it's weird. It's really weird. But anyway, a bunch of things to get to on the show. Josh has to get on an airplane coming out to Southern California. And then we'll be back on Thursday, of course, 1:00 Pacific time as well. But I appreciate everybody that jumped in on this. Again, we're looking at all the comments. Please subscribe to the show. YouTube, please leave your comments, and we get to all those. So feel free to leave those. Don't just feel like you have to leave comments on the show. If you join us live during the show today, man, appreciate your time. No, it's not always easy. But always thanks for supporting our show. And, of course, us over here at Bolt Crew, man, we're extremely happy to have you guys. So we'll be back. For Mario, for Josh, for Dave, we'll see you in 2 days.